The first thing I noticed was the size of it. The armor stood upright in the center of the salvage bay, suspended by a magnetic frame and surrounded by flickering holotags. It was massive, easily over 2.5 meters tall, built for a species that dwarfed even the largest augmented humans. Thick, overlapping plates of matte black alloy formed a silhouette that looked more like a walking fortress than wearable equipment. Faint scorch marks marred the chest and left shoulder, and dried, crystallized ichor, definitely not human, clung to the seams. To everyone else on Deck 9, it was just another relic pulled from a dead battlefield. To me, it was unsettling. I was supposed to be cataloging debris from the Karen Expanse conflict, a job I'd taken precisely because it was quiet. No shooting, no screaming comms, no last stands. Just wreckage and memories that didn't belong to me. After 8 years in the Terran Expeditionary Forces, that sounded like peace. "Hey, Elias," my supervisor called from across the bay. "Finish tagging that suit and move on. The council wants a full inventory by shift's end." "On it," I replied, forcing my voice to stay neutral. I stepped closer to the armor, pulling up the scan overlay on my wrist console. Composition: tritium-laced ceramidal. Power conduits dormant. Internal systems offline, either destroyed or deliberately shut down. Origin tag incomplete, corrupted by EMP damage. I frowned. This wasn't civilian grade. It wasn't even standard military issue by any known coalition species. This was custom, purpose-built. The kind of thing you made when you expected to face extinction-level threats and planned to punch them in the mouth. I reached out, hesitating only a moment before resting my gloved hand against the chest plate. The metal was cold.
Dead.
And yet, something in my gut twisted. I told myself it was nothing. Combat reflexes.
Ghosts.
I'd seen enough armor in my life to last a dozen lifetimes. Humans had a bad habit of imprinting meaning onto tools of war. Still, my eyes drifted to the left pauldron. There, etched deep into the alloy beneath the carbon scoring, was a symbol. A simple mark. A vertical slash crossed by 3 diagonal lines. My breath caught.
No.
I zoomed the holotag, enhancing the image. The scratches were old, worn smooth at the edges by time and battle. Not factory-made. Not decorative. A kill mark. I knew that mark. I'd carved it myself. My hand dropped from the armor as if it had burned me. For a moment, the salvage bay seemed to tilt, the hum of machinery fading into a dull roar in my ears. "That's not possible," I whispered. But memory doesn't care about possibility. 8 years ago, during the siege of Helios Reach, humanity had been on the brink. The Virex Dominion, an ancient, expansionist empire, had rolled through 3 coalition systems like a tidal wave. Their shock troops wore towering exo-armor, their commanders clad in personal warsuits rumored to be piloted by living legends. We were outnumbered, outgunned, outmatched, until he arrived. The alien we came to call Carvalin. The Virex called him the Iron Reaper. We called him something else. Ally. No one knew why he turned on his own kind. No one knew what he'd lost or what he was fighting for. All we knew was that when Carvalin joined the human lines, the war changed. I'd been a sergeant back then, leading a battered platoon through the ruins of Helios City. We were pinned down, ammo low, medics overwhelmed. Then the ground had shaken, and through the smoke came a towering figure in black armor, cutting down Virex elites like they were made of paper. He fought beside us for 3 days straight. Never slept. Never spoke much. Just nodded once when I carved a mark into his pauldron after we survived an ambush together. "One for Helios," I'd said. He'd inclined his helmet. "For those who stand." That mark, my mark, had been the first. Later, others added theirs. Humans. coalition soldiers, even civilians he'd saved. His armor became a ledger of shared battles. And then, at the Battle of Ashen Gate, Carvalhan had stayed behind to hold the line while evacuation ships fled. We never saw him again. The Dominion claimed he'd been destroyed. Humans chose to believe otherwise. I stared at the armor in front of me, my heart pounding. Slowly, carefully, I walked around the suit. There were more marks. Dozens. Some were crude scratches. Others were carefully etched symbols from species across the coalition. I recognized unit sigils, personal emblems, even a child's handprint pressed into the metal and preserved beneath a layer of clear sealant. And then I saw the chest, right over where a heart would be. A Terran Expeditionary Forces insignia, scorched but unmistakable. My unit's crest. Elias, my supervisor called again. You okay? You've been standing there a while. Yeah, I said hoarsely. Where did this armor come from? There was a pause. Recovered from a derelict near the edge of Virex-controlled space. No life signs. No bodies. Just that.
Just that.
I swallowed. Has anyone tried opening it? A laugh crackled over the comm. What? You think there's a ghost inside? It's sealed shut. Manual overrides fried. We'll cut it open later if the council authorizes it. No, I said, sharper than I meant to. Don't. Silence. I took a breath. I mean, please. Let me run a deeper skin first. This isn't standard salvage. Another pause. Then grudgingly, fine. You've got an hour. The bay cleared out as the rest of the crew moved on. I was left alone with the armor and my thoughts. I rerouted power to my scanner, bypassing the damaged ports. The suit's systems flickered, then responded faintly. Internal sensors were dormant, but not destroyed. Life support status, unknown. I leaned in closer, my pulse hammering. Carvalhan, I murmured, feeling foolish. If that's you, give me something. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, deep within the armor, something clicked. A low, resonant hum filled the bay as ancient power cells struggled back to life. Hollow runes flared briefly across the chest plate, then stabilized. A voice echoed inside my skull, transmitted directly through the suit's neural interface. Elias. My knees nearly gave out. Carvalhan, I whispered. Designation acknowledged, the voice replied. It was weaker than I remembered, strained, but unmistakable. Time elapsed significant. Are the civilians safe? I laughed then, a broken, breathless sound that turned into tears I didn't bother to hide. They're safe, I said. You did it. We won. The Dominion retreated. A pause. Then my duty was sufficient. No, I said fiercely, stepping closer. Your duty isn't over. Not if you're still in there. The suit was silent for a long time. When the voice returned, it carried something new. Confusion. This unit is compromised. Structural failure. Internal damage exceeds repair parameters. Maybe for you, I said. Not for us. I keyed my comm, overriding salvage protocols. Deck 9, this is Elias Ward. Flag this armor as protected. Council-level artifact. Any attempt to cut it open will be considered sabotage. My supervisor swore. Elias, are you out of your mind? Probably, I said. But trust me, this suit isn't scrap. It's history. And hope. In the days that followed, the truth came out. Carvalhan had survived Ashen Gate, barely. He'd entered emergency stasis, drifting through space for years before being recovered by accident. His body was failing, but his mind endured, bound to the armor that had kept him alive. The council debated. Some wanted to study him. Others feared him. Humanity made the decision for them. We didn't see a weapon.
We saw a comrade.
Using Terran medical tech and coalition biotech, we built him a new frame, not a prison but a body. One that honored the old armor by preserving it, scars and all, integrated into a design that allowed him to live again. When Carvalhan finally stood under his own power, taller and broader than before, the Salvage Bay erupted in cheers. He looked down at me, his optics glowing softly. "You recognized the armor," he said. I smiled. "I thought it was just armor." He inclined his head, a gesture I remembered well. It was never just armor. It was a promise. A promise humanity understood better than anyone. We keep our promises. And we never forget those who stand with us when the universe tries to break us. Not as a shell, not as a battlefield necessity, but as a memorial. The restored suit stood in the hall of Accord on Luna, mounted upright, every scar and etched mark preserved beneath a transparent stasis field. Humans passed it every day, soldiers, engineers, children on school tours, and learned its story. Not of an alien warlord, not of an unstoppable weapon, but of a warrior who chose to stand beside a species that refused to surrender. The new body we gave him was lighter, more adaptable, designed for peace as much as war. He spent his early days walking slowly through human cities, marveling at the chaos of markets, the noise of laughter, the strange comfort of shared meals. People stared, of course, but they didn't flinch. That mattered more to him than he ever admitted. As for me, I left salvage duty for good. The council offered promotions, medals, quiet applause behind closed doors. I declined most of it. Instead, I took a position as Carvalhan's official liaison. Though in truth, I was just an old soldier walking beside an even older friend. One evening, as Earth set in gold and blue beyond the station windows, he stood beside me in silence. "You altered your course for me," he said at last. "Your species does this often." I shrugged. "We don't like losing people, especially not twice." He considered that, optics dimming slightly. "Among my kind, honor is remembered. Among humans, honor is rebuilt." I smiled at that. Before he left, Carvalhan placed something in my hand, a small fragment of black alloy, warm to the touch. It was one of the original plates from his armor, engraved with the first mark I'd ever carved. "One for Helios," he said. "For those who stand," I replied. Long after he departed, long after the stars shifted and new threats rose and fell, the story endured. Across the galaxy, it spread quietly, carried by traitors and veterans alike. If you fight humanity, you will face their fury. But if you stand with them, they will remember your name, carry your scars, and bring you back from the dark. Because to humans, armor is never just armor. It is a promise.